Louisa, what more can you tell us?
Well, I spoke directly with the Commissioner, Andy Rowe, and I was very struck by how candid he was to me. He said that he is heartbroken by the findings of this report and that he's appalled. And very interestingly, he said that he expects to dismiss people. The report found example after example of abuse at all levels. Incidents included a black firefighter having a noose above his locker, a Muslim firefighter bullied over his faith with bacon put in his sandwiches. The number of migrants who have crossed the Channel this year in small boats has now exceeded 30,000. 667 people made the journey yesterday in 15 boats. While Richard Sharp may believe that he acted appropriately, he breached, in their opinion, the standards expected of people applying for a public role. So the committee accuses Mr Sharp of a significant error of judgment for getting involved in facilitating a loan to the then Prime Minister Boris Johnson at the same time as applying for this job as the BBC chairman. This is quite extraordinary. The president there making it clear that he is staying in the city, and this is despite the fact that previously, just a day ago, he was talking about the fact that he had intelligence to say that Russia have him as the #1 target to assassinate. Yes, Charlie, absolutely. A strongly worded statement from the most senior figure in the Royal Navy. Now, Sir Ben Key has launched an urgent investigation into allegations of sexual assault and harassment of women in the Royal Navy working on submarines.
But right now we're going to catch up with all the latest sports news. Here's Louisa again. Hi, afternoon.
Hi Jane, afternoon. Yes, Wimbledon has become the first major tennis tournament to ban Russian and Belarusian players due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I'm going to pick you up there. So nurses want 19%, but along with that, the government have said today that they just cannot afford this. You said you're looking for above inflation. What do you say back to the government?
So yeah, as you said, the CSP standpoint is above inflation.
Of these boxes, in each one, donations from people who have been deeply affected by those terrible scenes out in Turkey and Syria. You've been personally affected, haven't you, by what's happened?
Yes, so numerous people that I know and friends have unfortunately passed away, lost their lives, family, and another friend that I know has lost his mum and father and also 2 sisters.
It's just awful, isn't it?
It's terrible.
It's just dreadful what's gone on, Louisa. What more do we know about the details?
Yeah, absolutely dreadful. And what we know is that police say that a funeral was taking place in the brown building behind me called St Aloysius Church. Now, what they suspect happened here is that a vehicle drove past and shots were fired from that vehicle before it was then driven off. She says she'll fight for him until the end. But Archie's mum accepts she's now at the end of her legal fight for her son's life. 12-year-old Archie has been in a coma on life support since he was found unconscious in April. Last night, the European Court of Human Rights refused to intervene to stop that life support being withdrawn, ending the family's last hope.
At airports. Now, they see this as key to unlocking the aviation industry that's been paralysed really since March time. So passengers would get off their flight, they'd have a test at the airport, and then they would need a second test several days later. If you get 2 negative tests, then you don't have to quarantine for the full 14 days.
This is what it sounds like when your home goes up in flames. Another home, another wildfire as California burns again. Journalist Tom Lydon and his family left their home in Mariposa County after being advised to evacuate.
I think everyone's nerves are frayed. They are tired.
Louisa, this has just been announced this morning. Tell us more.
It has, yes. So a second hosepipe ban this summer, and this one, as you mentioned, is southeast water, so it will affect people in Sussex and in Kent, and it could actually affect up to 2.2 million households.
Louisa, tell us what more we know at this stage.
Well, what we know is that video has emerged, an absolutely terrifying video if you're watching this. It's terrifying for anyone who's in public office, for any politicians. And what happens in this video is that a gun is literally put to Cristina Fernanda de Kirchner's face, her head, and it clicks by this global systems outage, as British Airways are calling it. That means all their systems across the world have gone down. They're not working. That includes the check-in systems and the baggage systems. So you can't check in online. You cannot use the app on your phone to check in. And that's causing huge queues in the terminal buildings here at Heathrow and Gatwick and at airports across the world. We start with breaking news in the past hour that Erik ten Hag has been appointed the new Manchester United manager. Well, let's get the latest from our sports correspondent Andy Swiss. And the first question really is, what more can you tell us? Huge task ahead of him. What will his priorities be? Winning, I suppose?